Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think that we are in about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock local time. Uh, Different parts of the world here represented. I do have with me a couple people. I'm seeing the names that you have up on the list here. KO Ninja, SC Kicker, not names I'm used to seeing for you guys. You've got your real names up there. So,
Sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. So it's funny in a digital space to see that. I get Ace696, and of course, what we're talking about today is the idea of entrepreneurship in Upland, specifically with the concept of MetaVentures being included there. But I kind of like to take that aside a little bit. The concept of MetaVentures put out by Upland, a codified number of different businesses that Upland set up to be in the game of Upland. But realistically, MetaVentures were always set up on the side of Upland to be something that were inclusive of being able to bring a business into the digital space, being able to put it out, codify it, and again share it in a way that people are going to be able to interact in a digital space, be able to theoretically conduct business, and have the partner, the person who's actually putting the business out, be able to be the one who is, again, who is making determinations of the business set. So on that note, we have some, traditional MetaVenture activity being done by, again, the Hyde Park Ninjas, by Ace696, as well as some things in the larger scale of how do you build and scale your Discord groups? How do you build and scale your, the business model that you have? How do you move into the next step of what you want to bring into the metaverse, as well as just this idea of how do you manage the little tiny micro businesses that Upland gives you the opportunity to run? Because ultimately, there are 600 and change Block Explorer shops. There are 300 and something NFLPA shops. There are another 250 other shops in the game. That's before you get into the UGC content. And it's a lot. It's a large C. And ultimately, it's a differentiation that matters. So that's what I really want to focus on here with the group is what they're bringing into Upland as far as how do they manage and build their MetaVentures. How do they build everything around their MetaVentures that does not fit with Upland, as well as just give it a little bit of background as far as people getting interactivity and how do you start your first MetaVenture, and ultimately what are you going to do to be successful. So with that, I do just want to introduce my guests and allow them to introduce themselves, I should say, because the names here are a little overlapped. KO Ninja, Keith Olson, coming in. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Again, we don't have I don't have your name up there, but I think I've matched the right face to the right Upland name.
You nailed it. You nailed it, Goldie. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm KO Ninja in Upland, partners with SC Kicker, and we run the Hyde Park Ninjas. We're both lifelong martial artists. That's our careers. That's our lives every day. And we both got into Upland about 2 years ago. And then, man, it's just been a roller coaster ever since. And we've started new business ventures and a whole project, long-term project, working together and with another team. We've developed a team that's working with us and got a lot of projects. So I don't know if you want me to go into MetaVentures now or just give a brief introduction.
Uh, you know what? Let's leave it this simple. Tell me as you do your introduction. Tell me just a heads up as what does MetaVenture mean to you, and the quick, where do you come from? How did you come to it? And then we'll just come back around and have that discussion about the broader sense of the history in the game with Upland overall.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I personally have a one car showroom, and then SC Kicker and I, and he can elaborate a little bit more. We have uh, a map asset factory as well that we're looking to get items approved. And I'm not super active with my MetaVenture, and what I see in the community is just like just like your real job. The more effort and time and energy you put into your MetaVentures, the more successful you're going to be. I see some people absolutely crushing it, with their MetaVentures, but they're hustling, they're working, they're figuring out the what the right prices are for their products, and so and then there's other people, a little bit more of a passive approach. And I had a surplus of cars, and I just wanted a place where I could own them myself, and I put them up at prices that are not unreasonable, but right now they're not at the floor price. So I'm patient enough to just wait and wait for the market to rise. So
That's a good point, because the car thing. I can get into that as far as when we talk about, you know, different types of MetaVentures people can enter. But yeah, the car thing is wait for the floor to rise is not a silly idea at this point. Uh, and I appreciate it. Again, I do want to introduce everyone, go do the roundtable here so we can get things started. Ace696, again, splitting KO Ninja and SC Kicker, so you know they can each be individuals, even though we know them as the Hyde Park Ninjas. Ace, how are you doing this morning? Give me a little intro into who you are, what you're running right now, your experience with MetaVentures. Again, what do you have running at the moment, and then we can get back into the specifics of all of each of your businesses and how you're doing you know, how you've gotten to where you've gotten here.
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, so I've only been in Upland about 18 months. Like everyone, when I first started, had literally no idea. Very early on, I decided I wanted to be part of the creative process, you know. So map assets obviously gave me an outlet to start down that line, you know. So naturally, I don't have a lot of background with technology and things. I'm just a truck driver, so I'm just trying to branch out into something different, you know, way out of my comfort zone, and just try new things and see where it goes, you know. So yeah, you know, a lot of ideas rattling around upstairs, and just try to put them out there, link up with people. You know, community is a huge part of Upland, I think. You know, by myself, I wouldn't have accomplished anything near where I have today. So it's yeah, community is a huge part of where I've come from to where I've got to, and yeah.
Well, we'll get into some of the more specifics of what you're running. Appreciate it. Again, coming in from a background of you know, I know you've had one type of MetaVenture, then another type. You started with some resale, and then obviously got into the creative side of things, the actual map assets, the submission and the creation, and the waiting process to get them in the game. And we'll get into that and how that works. But ultimately, appreciate that you're here. We'll get into some of the specifics of, you know, bringing in just what's in your head and bringing it to the game. And then I'm going to bring obviously jump in here, SC Kicker. Introduce yourself, what you've been doing with your own MetaVentures, and of course, I do want to do this spiral around to the things that aren't official Upland MetaVentures that you've already got going that are tied into your Upland experience. But just tell me more about what you have for MetaVentures as of right now, Layer 1 Upland.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm the SC Kicker. Real name is Mike Streicher, and I think KO covered a lot of our stuff. So I'm the second part of the Ninjas, and we've kind of teamed up. About 2 years ago, we got into Upland. After the COVID times, we had a little bit of downtime in our industry, and kind of dove into Metaverse and started playing this game that was just trading properties. And, you know, it started to evolve into like different things. I know when it first started, I think I didn't even know how to treasure hunt barely. And technology wise, anybody that knows me and KO or follows us, we'll try to break anything that we can when it has to do with technology, and have a lot of fun doing it. And it's totally out of our realm. And we've been able to meet so many great people within the community. And, you know, it helped us to develop our team that we now have, building a lot of different layer 2 projects as well. But as far as like MetaVentures right now, we have a showroom in Hyde Park, LA is where our Hyde Park Ninja node is. And then we have a factory up in Balboa. We actually didn't get in time to find a plot of land that was big enough to make our factory where we wanted it. So we went outside of the area a little bit, you know, into near a node where we knew some other people, and asked permission. Hey, can we build a little factory here? And, you know, work that out. And so we're right now awaiting approval on some of our map assets that we're going to be creating. And the Ninja factory is going to have a lot of really cool Ninja stuff once we get through that process. We'll be able to
Waiting.
kick that stuff off. Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, we're really excited, and I thought we had it approved, and man, we have one little error, so we got to go back and fix that. So, but like KO said, this is a very long-term project, and this is not the space that we're comfortable with, you know, getting on cameras and doing podcasts. This never would have happened 2 years ago. I can tell you that for sure. And, you know, we just have a lot of fun with it. And I think like Ace, it's something completely different from what we do in real life. So it's really cool. Ace, by the way, that artwork in the background is pretty cool back there. So, and artwork too. I don't know if you have that in the metaverse anywhere, but there's so many cool things that we're going to have the ability to do, whether it's, you know, sharing artwork, you know, sharing map assets, you know, all this cool stuff. And I know we've got a lot of very long-term projects, you know, that we're basically, with what we do, we're bridging the gap between Web3 and martial arts, and trying to make a you know, a full-scale martial arts experience. And I grew up playing games like Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering and stuff, you know, that came out way back in the 90s. And I love those games, and we want to try to tie that into, you know, what we do with martial arts and Web3 and Metaverse, and just have a fun time with it, and get to meet more people and engage. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Right. And again, I did want to take the opportunity. I want to swing back to Ace, because Ace didn't really get into too deep into what he's got running. He's got a lot of things in as individual, you know, MetaVentures in the space. I do want to get back into that idea, because, you know, you bring it up with this concept of, you know, submitting the art, having the art approved, having the art come back in, being a very specific type of MetaVenture. Obviously, we have map assets that are operating that way, as well as structural ornaments. Ace got in pretty deep here as far as having showroom after showroom after showroom, which I appreciate. Multiple places get to the people, but also starting to get some assets approved. A lot of people are on that journey, waiting months before they get things through. But Ace actually has gotten on the other side of that. So I kind of want to talk to him a little bit, again, that specific type of MetaVenture, and then get back to the idea of the broader sense. So map asset submission, you start with this idea that you want to bring something into the metaverse. You know what a map asset shop is. You have to apply for it. You get the shop, and then you wait for the art. Ace, tell me a little bit about what that's been like for you on the how do you get your art into the game of Upland?
Okay, so yeah, basically, I mean, if you don't know how to blender and design things yourself, you need, again, community plays a big part, has for me. I was fortunate enough to meet up with the right people, and we were able to get things going, you know. Bit of back and forth, creating the right things, and then working out what works with our plans. You know, there's certain requirements and that they don't accept to accept, you know. Then the submission process, and quite daunting at first, trying to figure out how to, you know, all these different files that I literally have no idea on. So the guys that I was working with, you know, really helpful. And then it's basically a waiting game. You just sort of, once they're submitted in, you're just sitting there waiting, hoping. I'm sure the other guys are well aware of this, you know. I assume the process is going to get better. This new playground idea, I'm assuming they're toying with the idea of being able to see, you know, at least progress or some sort of feedback during the time of submission, that you can at least get an idea if something needs changing, if it's not going to meet criteria, these different things, you know. So as to date, I've been quite lucky. Literally only one of my designs didn't meet the criteria. That only just happened the other day. Little bit of a letdown, but it is what it is, you know. Onward and upwards. So but it's been great. It's 18 months ago, I would never have pictured myself at the point I am now. It's amazing to see my stuff, things I've thought about and envisioned, actually NFTs in the metaverse. It's kind of surreal, to be honest, you know. But in saying that, there's some amazing stuff out there too, you know. So it's great to see so many different ideas, different things that people come up with and are able to create. And yeah, so and then on the MetaVenture side, like you said, I tried to space them out around the map to allow people the convenience. So, you know, people don't always want to travel and spend UpX going here, there, and everywhere trying to pick up different things. If I can create a space all around the map with a bit of an all-in-one, then it makes it a lot easier for the community to get to my MetaVentures. So.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point that I want to put out here, and one of the ones I want to put out is on the idea of MetaVentures. Again, I do want to get back to the larger space, and you know, how do you bring a business that you either create in the real world or create it around the metaverse, and use your connections or your communities within the Upland space to you know, kind of build and expand on a brand overall. But you know, the idea of you've got this point of business, again, a POI, essentially, point of sale in the game of Upland, where you can interact with customers. They can purchase ware that you put up for sale on a digital basis, digital assets. And that idea of hyper location is key. Travel is a big part of the game of Upland. I mean, how did that work for you? Again, I know the Hyde Park Ninjas very much centralized in LA at this point, as far as in the game of Upland. But how do you manage or consider the expansion or the geolocation, the importance of geolocation of your shops to actually getting to customers?
Well, I think it's super important. I mean, originally it was just, you know, in Queens. So I'd set up a base, a factory, a showroom in Queens, and originally had just planned on that. As I sort of watched things progress and how people travel, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, you know, can you do a trade with me because I don't want to travel over there," I quickly realized you need to expand. It's costly to expand, but it needs to happen. So I just set my mind to it, and just one after another built or acquired showrooms and moved around. So I tried to get on each continent at a minimum. Naturally, larger continents try to have a couple spread out to do that, because we talk about transport future coming to Upland, so people aren't just going to be able to fly and send at a moment's notice. So location will be important, I believe, in the future. So yeah.
No, we appreciate that idea and that concept. I mean, as far as you know, this idea of, you know, the geolocation, the concept with the map assets is, as of right now, you just fly them across the map and say, I'm going to relocate this from one location to the next. On your planning that you are manufacturing assets, have you already started to consider what that looks like for the idea of manufacturing meeting the sales location? Or is it still, if tomorrow or Upland said in 3 weeks we're going to have transport, you're gonna have to figure out what transport looks like from Queens on over
Well,
across the ocean?
Yeah, to an extent. I have a showroom in London and a factory in London. In Queens, I have a showroom and a factory, and I intend on hopefully getting factories in each city that my showroom is. So at the moment, a asset is only tied to its original factory, which is a bit of a downside there, because naturally anything, once production transport comes in, sending from London to US is going to most likely be too costly to bother. So it would be cheaper for somebody to transport themselves over there to buy it. However, it's sort of, there's still a lot of unknowns, isn't there? How then do they transport it back to the US? Let's say if they're in Los Angeles, a lot of unknowns, but it's just preparing, I guess, the best you can with the information you're given. So hopefully in the future we will be out. We've talked and asked in the UGC about being able to, if you've got 3 factories, let's say, and 10 designs, being able to move them, but produce all 10 designs from all 3 factories. At this point of time, you're allocating it to one factory, and that's just where it is. So still beneficial at this point, because as you say, you can move things here, there, and everywhere as we please. In the future, though, maybe not. So better to, you know, just prepare for the future. That's all you can do. So,
and I want to take that the opposite side, because I know that you guys with the KO Ninjas have kind of taken a, you know, as far as of right now is concerned, an opposite strategy, in that you've really built out one specific area Your manufacturing is not far from where your shop is, which kind of, you know, takes advantage of the idea that geolocation may be a concern with travel. But it's also, you also have a node that's built around the area which you also have the shop. So I mean, how does that decision work? Is that just building on the one brand and just carrying it through? Was it just cheaper and easier for you to get land in the area, or is that part of an overall broader strategy for you guys?
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into other areas. Right now, we're really ultra focused on the Hyde Park community and building that up and making it really strong. And we're trying to take like slow and steady, calculated steps to build, you know, good products, good community, and get that like foundation and base first. And then we do have plans to expand into other areas because, like Ace said, the transportation is going to be a big part of it. And, you know, eventually you're going to have to transport things and it could get, you know, pretty expensive. So we're definitely have that on the radar. And I guess eventually we'll put up a map on the wall and start throwing ninja stars at it and see where our next factories land. So we'll go with that. But yeah, I do feel like we're a little bit behind on that avenue, but maybe ahead in some other ones. And, you know, the hard part is like tying in, because we're very entrepreneurial and always have like crazy ideas, and some of them stick, some of them don't stick. And with some of the different brands that we have coming out, you know, we have our NinJava coffee line, and you know,
I was gonna go there. I was gonna go there with the tie between the real world and then tying that together. So yeah, go into NinJava and how you've got that incorporated.
Yeah, so NinJava is going to be an in-game. It's going to have an in-game function too. We're going to have a little NinJava cafe within our game, and the avatars, as they're fighting, they could stop at the NinJava cafe and get a little energy boost. So that's kind of how it'll work in game. And we said, man, why don't we just make a real coffee? Because we could have that real coffee before the game is done, because it's a long project. And so it's starting to gain momentum now. I know we had the opportunity to go to Vegas last year and meet all you guys, and man, it was a blast. And we just brought a bunch of samples out. We just loaded up boxes and had them shipped to Vegas and handed out samples at the half booth we had with TML there, and you know, got that product out there. And we got a lot of really great feedback. And we just recently we did an event for Tap Cancer Out. It's a really great cause, and it's a non-for-profit that we work here in our area for jiu-jitsu and rolling. And we just raised 12 grand, you know, through our academies here. And through the metaverse, we said, hey, why don't we try to incorporate what we're doing in the metaverse? And, you know, we were able to sell some NinJava online. We were able to sell some of our properties in Hyde Park that were within Hyde Park. Some of them were on the track, and all that money, you know, got to go to a really great cause. So I think one of the keys to making the metaverse successful is the community, you know, building the relationships. And the really cool thing is, you know, we're meeting people from all over the place. You know, we got people in Norway, you got people in San Fran that we wouldn't normally, you know, day to day be able to network with and communicate. And we can do that now through the metaverse and do it in a very fun and engaging way. And we try our best to like surround ourselves with people that are really positive and doing, you know, things within the community, because I think that's going to make a big deal too, because right now everything is so new. I mean, we've been in for 2 years. Upland's been around for what, 3 or 4 maybe. And it's still
2019
19?
June.
Okay.
June 2019, yeah.
So it's still really in its infancy, you know, and I think for the people that are building stuff, you know, like the group we have sitting on this panel right now, and, you know, all the other guys that we know through the communities, it's super important the way we work together and communicate and kind of lay the foundation for the future players. It's going to make it more fun and engaging for them as well. And I think that's a super important part of it. And just keep pushing forward. And, you know, nothing in the game works out just perfect, as we all know. You know, sometimes map assets take longer to build, and you just got to kind of go with the flow. And, you know, when something's not working, hey, I'm going to just move to the other project right now that I can make some headway while that other thing is catching up. And that's kind of how it works, you know, and that's how real life works too. I know. And, you know, during COVID, we had all kinds of setbacks with our academies being closed down, and You know, it was like the end of the world at that time, you know, but you got to work on the things that you can work on. And, you know, we dove a little bit into cryptos and metaverse, and it started that next track for us, you know. So it's just that constant never ending improvement. And that's so important.
Well, and I love that idea. And again, you know, you get it from Ace a little bit. We'll circle back on that, Ace. But you know, this idea that you do something that you're experienced with in the real world. That, you know, this is your career. This is what you've been doing, and you're already an entrepreneurial. You know, you guys already have the experience of running your own business. That's something you've done. You've had to build, but you bring that into the metaverse where it's a little different of a format. There's a little bit different of how do you reach customers, but you still have that concept of I'm going out, I'm reaching customers, I'm bringing a product out, and I'm trying to meet those two together. I'm meeting the community that I have to build to sell this product with the product itself, and how do you get it there. And actually, I want to circle back on that real quick for you, Ace, and then I want to give Tan the opportunity to grab some questions from the group before we go and get into you know, hopefully the last part here I want to get into, you guys, is, you know, meeting your real world, meeting who you are, and bringing that into the metaverse, and how that's powerful as a business. But Ace, the one thing I want to put on there is, you know, I know the Hyde Park Ninjas, they started building their brand before they started having MetaVentures. You had built a brand with autos, you built with racing and autos, you built your brand with the art itself. How do you build and scale your community, your Discord activity, building your own, you know, again, people who are going to be around or organized around what you're doing as a MetaVenture, and then kind of build that into getting people to the shop, getting people to want to buy your items?
That's your question. Yeah. How do we do it? Give the people something they want, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, when we started racing, it was, I mean, myself and Nosif, I jumped into the cars server. He'd built a nice base. It was, you know, good sales opportunities. It was just not a messy server, you know, so it was just dedicated for that. Like the Hyde Park Ninjas, they'd found a lane and just dedicated to it. So anybody who's interested in that specific thing, that's where they know to go. So some people like to go that broader range, which is sort of what I've done now with Ace Collectibles. But you know, in that when you choose a lane, I guess people know, I want something, you know, ninja, I want, you know, something like that. Where do I go? I go Hyde Park Ninjas. They've created that brand, and that's, you know, that's recognizable. So with cars, that's, you know, it was basically just, we tried to fill a void at the time. Racing wasn't really much, or had no traction, and I just said to Nosif, let's try to do something, you know, whether it works, whether it doesn't, it's worth a shot. The racing community still hasn't grown that big yet, you know. I think it's still got a long way to go. A lot of, you know, groups still doing a lot of cool things with it and whatnot. So I think it's come along a long way since when I had a Ace Racing League. But it's just finding something people want and giving it to them, basically. I mean, it's obviously always not as simple as that, but it all just starts with the idea and finding out what people want. It was again about community, talking to community. You know, I started it, and it evolved naturally, because you listen to what people want, and you do your best to try to cater to it. So and I think businesses and things that survive well listen to their customer base. So at the end of the day, they're the ones that keep you alive, that keep things running, that, you know, so without your customers, you're nothing. So listen to them and do what you can.
And I get it. That was part of what I wanted to, you know, both of you guys, or I should say all three, but both the Ninjas and Ace Collectibles, you both started before that MetaVenture was available to you. You know, with the car server, with the racing series, you were building a business around cars before there was really even showrooms. I mean, you jumped in with the race series before Upland had the idea of doing staked racing, built a economy around that, built a business around that, and then you did transition that into direct layer one businesses and MetaVentures, but ultimately it was the idea that there was a void and you decided you had to fill it. And that's what kind of gave you that foothold. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had that space in the first place.
Exactly right. Yeah, no, that's what it was. And I'd said to Nosif, because he had a couple of racing things there, but it wasn't really sort of an organized thing. And I'd spoke to Nosif and said, let's try to organize it, give people a legitimate place to come. Again, like the Hyde Ninjas, they know, that's what they're going for. If people wanted racing, they came in and they could race. So we're trying to create a more open branch of it now. It's difficult with the racing because of time zones, people with different vehicles. It really isn't easy with the racing just yet.
Put a pin in that, because that's coming.
Yeah. So but it's all evolving and it's all definitely getting a lot better. But yeah, we've had fun with it nonetheless, and it filled a void when there was. I mean, URL's doing some great work. And hopefully we see some more around the racing side of things in the next year to come. I believe we will, with the talks of transport especially.
I love it. Tan, I want to throw to you because I want to get some midway questions in before we go launch in towards the end here.
Absolutely. I'll just pass on to the audience. Anyone has any questions? So can you hear me?
I've got you. I think everyone else can as well. Yes. Thumbs up.
A little bit of trouble hearing.
So you talked about the cars. Like, when do you think we'll have boats and ships for transport across continents?
Ace, I think that's an Ace question. He said you had experience with, you had experience with cars. Again, this is not something that we can speculate too much on. Nobody here from the team of Upland. But when do you think that there'll be things like ships and boats and other types of transportation?
Ships and boats. I don't believe Upland's even spoken about this at all, unfortunately. It's something in the community we'd love, and yeah, definitely boats. Miami, we were hoping Miami would bring some speedboats and things. At this point, I don't believe there's any talk about it. I would assume when transportation starts to come in, that some form of boats will come in, and fingers crossed we can look at boats, jet skis, and all the sorts of fun things that even UGC could be part of. And I think that would be really cool.
Excellent. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have anything else there, Tan? Anyone else in line?
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can. Everyone else, thumbs up.
All right, great. So I think this question would be, best suited for MetaVenture owners themselves. So how many years do you think it would take for, for you to actually make a full-time income from Upland, like a MetaVenture in Upland? Considering, we're at such an early stage right now, how many years do you think it will take to mature to such an extent that you'll be able to make a full-time income from the game?
I can take that one if you.
I was gonna say everybody here has at least one MetaVenture. Whoever wants to take that first, I think it's a great question.
Yeah, I think it's how you approach it too. I think if you're just looking at having one MetaVenture, I think it's gonna be pretty difficult to have a full-time income. One thing that SC Kicker and I are looking at doing is building out a broader business. With the Hyde Park Ninjas, we have lots of different avenues that we're pursuing. I wish I could talk about them more right now, but we're just not at that point yet. And so I think just I love what Ace is doing. Ace is crushing it with the showrooms, having a lot more ability for people to purchase, a lot simpler. It's got to be easy, right? Because humans are lazy. So if we have to go and fly and travel and do this and that just to buy a product, we're probably gonna opt to not do that. And so I think so I would start thinking like, okay, I have this idea for a MetaVenture. how can I begin to expand on that? How can I begin to think in broader terms, and building out a community, building out a Discord, building out a YouTube channel, whatever it is that you, whatever that suits you. That would be my advice. That's kind of our approach is taking a MetaVenture, taking an idea, and then expanding on it.
All right, thanks. I
Spot
got
on.
another question. What do you think is the biggest challenges, the biggest challenge, or the biggest challenges that you all are facing right now as MetaVenture owners?
I think we all have challenges. Ace, do you want to grab that? Do you want to grab that, KO?
Yeah, he might be the best one.
The growing number of them, so competition. So you need to stand out from the rest. Basically, it's not about just having a shop. Anyone can apply for a shop. Anyone can have a shop. It's having a brand, having something that people recognize. Again, being part of communities because you have that support around you. And being unique, having something different, unique ideas. Assume if you're in the creation process. In my opinion, creation is key here. Just selling other people's stuff all the time will only get you so far. That's just my opinion. I know other people do it and they do great at it, and that's awesome. But for me, in my opinion, you have to be part of the creation process. That's why this whole thing was built for people like us to just be able to build, create, do something different. So that's where I would say. As for a time frame, you can't really put a time frame on it because there's so many different factors involved. It's just a case of patience is key, and if you work hard enough at it, it should pay off.
And I want to jump in on that just a little bit. Is everybody we're talking with has diversification on the mind. It's not that you decide you're going to do one thing, you do it a few times, and just sit and wait for the UPEX to pour in or the USD to pour in. It's a matter of you have to build the business like you would in the real world. That's kind of this idea with the MetaVenture is Upland gives you a platform to say, this is a point of sale. That's why I always like to think of a shop in the game of Upland. It's a single point of sale. But if I'm going to build a brand, I have Metaventurist. I do a lot of broadcasting, don't monetize that a ton, but that's something that I do. I also have a number of MetaVenture shops, just like Ace has a number of different locations, both, manufactured items as well as resale. So you got to kind of find, how do you build that brand out for yourself? What do you want to do? What can you bring that other people can't? And then you have to build that business just like you would in the real world.
Got it, thanks. And I got another question. Yeah, I know a lot of questions.
Good questions.
So have you thought of any third-party integrations coming from outside of Upland? Like, say, somebody owns an e-commerce store, right? And they want to basically sell their products in Upland. Like, do you think that would be possible? And if so, like, how long do you think that would take?
I'm gonna give that to one of the Hyde Park Ninjas because they actually already have a product they're selling into the community of Upland. But I'll grab the technical bit of that on the back end. So when do you guys want to grab? What does that look like as far as getting a real world product and finding a way to sell it within your community?
I can take that one. So I know you had two other questions too, and I did want to chime in a little bit. So I think as far as to put a time frame on when something is going to happen or be successful or go into a full-time income, that's a hard question to answer because it's going to depend on what you put into it. So, typically in life, doesn't matter if it's business, relationships, family, kids, what you put into what you're doing is what you're going to get out of it in most cases. So the more you put into it, if you treat it like a full-time job, you're going to get those full-time benefits. That's the goal. And I think Ace hit the nail on the head when he said patience. Patience is key because nothing happens instantly. And I know nowadays everybody wants everything instantly. If you walk into most people's kitchen anywhere in the world and you go to the microwave, look at the timer. somebody probably was heating something up and got impatient, didn't want to wait. And they opened the door, took the food out, and there's probably, 3 to 10 seconds left on that thing. So, so that kind of proves that point. But yeah, you just got to be patient. And as far as bringing like an e-commerce store in, we have our coffee line is just one of the products that we deal with, and we have that on our website. And you got to build your community. A lot of it is marketing too. So if you're not marketing your product to anybody, it's never going to sell. You could have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, they're not going to purchase it. And, it kind of relates back. I remember early on, we've been lifelong martial artists, and I've watched masters, some of the best martial arts masters in the world. And they really didn't get to teach a lot of people because they either didn't know how to teach or didn't want to teach. And it's because nobody knew that they were out there, to be taught from. And the more exposure you can give to whatever the product is that you have, the better it's going to be. So build the community and, be there for them too. I know when I was early on and the cars were just starting to come out, I seen Ace's name everywhere. I knew if I was looking for some car stuff, I could always go to someone like Ace, Dak. Those guys are very in tune to what's going on with that community. And, stay involved in the communities, and that's a big part of it. And the better you do with that, and it shouldn't be all about sales. I think if you give that approach that it's always about sales, it's going to backfire because people don't like that in either. So build the community, have a brand, and everything else will kind of fall into place in my opinion. So none of this is financial advice, obviously, but that's the approach we take, slow and steady, and build the community. If you build the community, that's the best place to start, in my opinion.
Love that. And again, on my side, I wanted the technical bit of it. If you're asking for press a button in Upland and make the sale happen somewhere else, that's a question that may or may not ever come. Upland has, kind of the locked ecosystem, what's happening directly in Upland. But from what has already been done by SC Kicker, by the Hyde Park Ninjas, is they have this business that's integrated with what they're doing in Upland, and their community in Upland they've built around their node, that they've built around just their broadcasting in Upland, other forms of reaching out and touching people, again, in the community. And then they are selling to that same set of customers because they already know them. They're already part of that community. And then they have to just have the right product that people want to buy. So I would say that we're there already. You don't have to wait 6 years before you can integrate a web business into Upland. You just have to take your community and make it meet between the two. And Ace, I don't want to exclude you there. I don't think that you've got a real world product yet.
I haven't got to that, but I love what these guys are doing, and yeah, I think spot on basically everything they've said. So,
all right, thanks for your answers.
Thanks for the questions. Anything else for you?
No, that's it. I think I'm gonna just pass the mic on to Dan.
Awesome. Thank you.
good night.
Yeah, thanks.
If you got anybody else, Tan, love to take them. We got plenty to talk about. I don't want to overrun our time here, but would love to take any more questions that you have, Tan. Maybe.
I got all excited when I seen that mic come out in that chair. I thought they were going to be doing some karaoke for us this morning.
Oh, I love the mic. No, so I gotta say this: if Tan's grabbing another person, I'd love to have him. But guess what I'm drinking today? Exactly. There you go. Look over your shoulder. There you go. See, this is called product placement. And I'm gonna see if I can pop something up here. You know what you need to do, Ace? You need to get a shirt. This is what the ninjas do really well. You need to get a shirt with your favorite piece of art that you sell and put it right on the shirt. That way, when you sit on camera, they're like, "Oh, look at that! What's that on your shirt?"
Truth be told, it's the first time I've really done camera. I was way out of my comfort zone to start this, but I actually have seen that before and thought to myself, I kind of need to do some sort of attire that goes around it, So
And that
Ace
go ahead. Sorry.
Ace, being
Sorry?
that you're in transportation, my grandfather was big into transportation, so I grew up, driving around in trucks with him when I was a kid. And do you have a lot of semis? Are you going to dive into that aspect of Upland?
So I've only got one semi in the in Upland at the moment. So I did have a couple sort of way back. I must say I got a little impatient there, so I offloaded them and went into used that to go into other things as I was expanding the business, and have recently started getting them back. So. I mean, most people knew I owned about 6% of the cargo vans at one point in time. But so I probably went a little heavy there. But I traded them off and got some amazing props in the meantime that have more than well and paid for themselves. And I do plan on getting back into the transport side of things very soon. I expect to see it starting to come in the next year to 18 months, I believe. So better to get in now while nobody wants them rather than when they need them. All of a sudden the prices are going to go up, aren't they? So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I just started my first car shop because, I mean, there was no point for me to have a shop in the game of Upland for a resale location because of the way Upland was doing their sales. And then the last couple cycles where Upland is selling directly to car showrooms, now it's a different market. So, and the same thing with Block Explorers, it seemed like, okay, there was a flooded market. There's all these shops. Now that you have the opportunity to get potentially a wholesale product. Market differentiation is still important. Selling your product is still important, but now there's more use case for the layer one, at least for me, the layer one shop, as opposed to trying to find places to do flips or sell outside or through somebody else's shop or through other servers, which I think we've all done. We've all done, sales of properties through our own servers and through other servers as well.
Something I'm curious on, that you touched on there, where the exclusive sales to the MetaVenture owners, is that something they intend on continuing down that path of exclusivity only, or do we know that they'll bring public sales? Because I actually like the idea of the specific MetaVentures getting that wholesale idea, and because then they're not fighting with the public. They, if they can collectively set a realistic price, then that is the price for the public to buy. That is the joys of owning the MetaVenture, not having to acquire them off secondary market only to put them back on secondary market. It's I definitely like the idea of that wholesale idea.
Again, we're players. Again, I keep my ear to the ground. In broadcasting, again, the Hyde Park Ninjas, I would call them broadcasters. You guys are broadcasters as well. I don't know if you guys haven't set up with UCN, but you guys should. Official broadcasting with Upland, but
we're being patient. I think we've applied. We're being patient. So
okay. But I keep my ear to the ground, and one of the things there, Ace it feels that way. It feels like they're going to push more for the exclusivity. People push back on the way those sales were happening. I don't think that we're not going to see sales in the Upix store anymore. I think we're going to keep seeing those, but I think it is a good methodology. I think Upland sees, if they can see success at it, if they can get good sell-through on product, those products can make it to the secondary market, and then they have a life in the secondary market. I think that Upland will take that and continue in that direction. It just makes sense. It's working well. And ultimately, as long as Upland can keep bringing players in who have a use case for cars, and Upland can continue to make cars work well, hint, hint, transportation this quarter. So if transportation of individuals between cities is going to happen this quarter with cars, that's the use case you've been waiting for. You on your side with cars, me on my side with cars for the last year and a half since cars have essentially been existing.
Yep.
And I think too, for the people that are not necessarily into the cars or the transportation side of it, what kind of opportunities are going to be out there from a marketing perspective? There's a lot of racing going on. And if you watch NASCAR and all these different races, all of the brands that are on those cars, that's going to be a whole nother avenue possibly that, there's marketing revenue that could come into the tracks or the car owners or however it works out. So, there's so much that can be done with it over time. And again, you got to be patient and things that happen, and, more utility is going to come. So people that are in it and are patient with it, they'll be there to, hopefully reap those rewards. So.
And Tan, I want to throw it back
So-
to you. Did you have more questions? Again, I don't want to overrun our time here, but I think we're having a great conversation.
We don't. We're out of questions. But I
Perfect.
think everyone's loved the conversation, and we're willing to learn more from you within the metaverse and otherwise. So back to you.
Yeah, perfect. So, like I said, I see we're right at time. What do you want us to wrap up and just give everybody their piece, let everyone plug what they're working on, and then you can take over from there? Because, like I said, I'd love to run 2 hours here, but I know you've got some other speakers coming right on.
Yep, sure.
Perfect. Like I said, I want to give the next set. I know we have another panel coming right up on our backside, but I do want to give everybody. I know we could do this for another hour and a half. There's no question, but I want to give everyone their opportunity to kind of plug what they're doing so people can see what's out there. I know Ace, you've been really instrumental with working with other people, helping them come in. I know that the ninjas, you guys have been instrumental with other people reaching out to you. I'll let them do that. I'll plug myself before I send it to you guys so I can give you guys the last word here. But first and foremost, obviously, on my side of things, obviously, primarily a broadcaster, do run a number of MetaVentures in the game. Metaventurist on YouTube is the easiest place to see it. On Twitter, the Goldsmith 5. We try to keep and promote MetaVentures and people who are running businesses in the game of Upland as a whole. So I'm glad that we're here. And of course, everybody who's here has that same community aspect. If you want to reach out, if anyone has questions further, would love to see those and love to be able to help as we can. Go right ahead, right across in order as I'm looking at the next one. I think it is going to be KO Ninjas the next on my list as far as my order of speakers.
Yeah, and thanks Tan for putting this on and having us on. It's been great, and thanks Goldsmith for hosting. And I don't want to take everything from SC Kicker because we say a lot of the same stuff. But I think what I would like to plug is probably at this moment our Discord. That's where you can just get information, the Hyde Park Ninjas, and stay up to date with what we're working on. We also do contests and giveaways every single week, and just keep the community involved and have a lot of fun. And then just for those that are listening and looking to build businesses, whether you're just a player or you're looking to actually build out a business in Upland, I see a lot of people start a MetaVenture and then they just are upset or complain when they're not making money right away. And the ones that are out there hustling, they're in the Discords, they're gaining knowledge on what it is that they're selling and really putting the work into it and working the communities. Those are the ones that are succeeding. So that would be my advice there.
Go ahead, Ace, jump in for me. Good.
Before we go to Ace, I just wanted to make one comment.
Yeah.
Because I know Ace reached out to me that he wanted to do some giveaways, but Ace, unfortunately, because of the audio situation, we cannot streamline the online people who are watching us on YouTube. So perhaps we'll have to do that separately, and maybe we can do that with all of you another stream then, perhaps on Goldie's show.
No problem,
If
mate.
he's
Not a
willing to
problem.
do
I
that.
thought I'd put the offer out there. So, never hurts to give away a few things, get it out into the community. Yeah. So yeah, wrap up for me, I guess. Yeah, pretty much, Karen Engine summed it up pretty much perfectly. Assets are mainly my thing. Trying to bring my next attempt is to bring map assets into the layer 2, give them a purpose outside of layer 1. I believe I'm not the only person thinking about it, so it's again, patience is key. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. A lot of working in trying to figure ideas just for the base ideas, and then trying to implement it into actually something and getting a game created, or working with communities to get games created. yeah, I'm always interested in hearing people's ideas if they want to work with me. And yeah, that's basically where I'm at the moment.
So Ace Collectibles, right? That's the place to get into the Discord. That's the place to reach you and find you in the metaverse.
Ace Collectibles, that's the one,
Yeah.
mate.
Yep. And SC, take it over. What did KO miss?
I think KO and Ace covered everything there, so I got an easy job now. Yeah, as far as the Hyde Park Ninjas, oh, there's KO again, the big screen. I got the best place to reach out to us is, yeah, like Discord. We're very active in our Discord. You know, we do weekly contests with UFC pick'ems if you're into that. We do NFL pick'ems. Right now the NFL season is starting to wind down, so we just got, you know, a few more weeks of that, and then we'll move on to something different. We do races interactive on our streams, and so the best place is like the Discord. You can get a hold of us. We're pretty available. If we're not teaching, we'll be on there and get back to you right away. If we don't get back to you, we're teaching and on the floor kicking. So as far as YouTube, definitely hit us up on YouTube. We have a lot of information there, whether it be on you know, sometimes we've had our artist on from the Hyde Park Ninjas project, and we've showed some of the beautiful artwork that she does and some of the characters. So we have any kind of updates like that we can put out at that time. And then we just do a lot of fun stuff. We like to engage and have fun with the community, and that's a big part of it. For us, we're both big people persons. And is that a word? People persons?
Yeah.
So we just get out there and kind of kick it. That's it.
People.
Yeah. people. I like it. That could be a good shirt. Get
There you
a bunch
go.
of stick figures across there. People.
We're people. Exactly. Well,
so, but yeah, that's the easiest way to get a hold of us, Discord or YouTube right now. We do have a website, is hydeparkninjas.com, and you can actually get the NinJava there. Transparency, as far if you're outside of the country, I don't know with the shipping that it's economical to ship across into certain countries, or if it would even make it there. Sometimes coffee can get flagged.
Yeah. I was gonna say coffee's one of those things that's hard to ship internationally sometimes.
Yeah. They'll have the dog sniffing that. It'll be gone before it gets there. But yeah, so if you're in the States, we haven't had any issues. We can get stuff out fairly quick now. We kind of was a little bit choppy at the beginning, and we've got to kind of fine tune now. And so we're excited about that.
Well, appreciate it. Again, thank you guys. You know, KO, thank you, Ace, thank you, SC Kicker, and thank you, Tan. Again, it's great to see that you know, I jumped on YouTube earlier. It was hard to hear some of the audio. I know the audio is a little funky. I know you'll have better versions up later, right, of the recordings. Perfect. So looking forward to people being able to watch this later. I see some guests up next. Tan, how do we do this transition? You want me to admit them? Do you want to come in and take back over the room? Your mic's off, bud.
You can just admit Joe and make him a host.
Oh my gosh, I can do that. All right. Again, thank you so much, everybody. Please feel free to reach out to any of us if you want to get more information about MetaVentures or what you're doing in the metaverse. Let me grab Joe real quick, and I'll have him take things over here.
All right, Tan, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Later, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.